Yes.
Walk with me, Lord. Walk with me. While I see the journey, I want Jesus to walk with me. Walk with my mother. Walk with me. Walk with my mother. Walk with me. I'm always see the journey. I want Jesus to walk with me. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Thank you, Lord, for giving me this opportunity to come before the people today to share my story on how you healed, delivered, and set me free. I am so honored and blessed to come before you today. Amen. When I was asked to do this, I told First Lady, I said, yeah, I'll do it. I didn't know what I was getting myself off into. Amen. But God told me to look up the word evangelist. I've had a few people tell me that I'm an evangelist. So I looked it up. Well, it's a noun. An evangelist is a person who seeks to convert others to the Christian faith, especially by preaching. I said, well, no, that's not me, Lord. I'm going to leave that to pastor. No, the First Lady and Mother. No. And then it said, well, a layperson engaged in Christian missionary work. I said, well, I can feel that one a little bit. And then the last definition said, one who spreads the gospel. I said, okay, that's me. I'm an evangelist, Denasha. So I'm called. Glory to God. I said, God, I can accept that calling. So I'm called to spread the gospel, to reach the people, to reach the hurt, the wounded, the broken hearted people. So that's what I'm called to do. Evangelist Denasha is called to reach the hurt, the wounded, and the broken hearted people. Yeah, some of you might know me as my nickname. They call me Ginger Cake or Jenny Cake. But it's Ginger Cake. But don't judge me because you don't know my story. I come from a dysfunctional household because I was molested as a child by my dad or the man that raised me. I don't remember much about my childhood because I repressed a lot of memories. But I do remember someone that had a very big impact in my life. And she died and left me all alone. And that was my grandmother. Her name was Pinky, Miss Pinky, is what they called her. But we called her Big Mama. She was a big woman, and she was beautiful to be so big. She was like 6 feet tall. She reminded you of Medea. That's how big my grandmother was. And she didn't play. And she was just so gentle and loving and caring. And she ain't take no mess. She would say, I laugh and talk, I might smoke a little dope, and I don't play. And she'd always say, now run and tell that. That rocket anchor of mine died the summer of my 4th grade year. You see, I finally got the courage to tell someone that I was being molested by my dad. And boy, was I crushed when I got off the bus, and I would always walk down to our house. She lived, it was a house sitting right across from my trailer. And on that lot, it's a lot across the street from my trailer that I live in now. And it was a bunch of police cars, and the ambulance was there. And so for some reason, I was able to sneak into the house, and she was on the toilet stool. She died peacefully, and her head was back, and she had died on the toilet. And that was just, I died right along with her. Because I mourned her death and mourned my own death, because I thought, wow, what do I do now? Big Mama gone, who do I tell now? What do I do? I couldn't tell Aunt Louise because he was her nephew or something, and everybody loved him. But what about me now? So the only thing I could do was just eat. I said, well, maybe if I eat and get so big and fat that he would leave me alone. And some days I ate myself sick. At times, but it never stopped. The touching, the feeling, and then eventually sex, the real act of being molested took place. This stuff all happened to me. And I thought, well, man, I'm getting bigger and bigger, but it still bothered me. I was like, good Lord, what next? Underway Jesus. So this is how I got through it. I had a little stuffed animal, a little stuffed dog, And I still got in the day, I let Kanye play with it, but I told my baby, I said, Kanye, I'm going to throw this dog away. He was like, well, why, Mama? I like this dog. This used to be your toy. I said, honey, it got too many soul ties to it. I told my baby, I said, so after Mommy do my message today, I said, I'm throwing that dog away. I remember I would pray to this dog of mine, Butch, so I prayed as a kid. I prayed and I cried with this dog, and I was like, well, God, this is not normal. Who lets their dad touch on them? I was like, God, just kill me. That's not normal. I remember that I had no real friends as a kid, nobody house to go to, and I secluded myself because I wasn't normal. My sister had friends. She had places to go. She had, things to do. And I really didn't like my sister as a kid because she was loved by her dad. Because he wasn't touching on her or doing things to her. But I learned later on in life that the reason he didn't bother her or mess with her or look in the bathroom at her or in her room while she was getting dressed is because she would have told on him. She would have exposed him. So he chose me, the weaker vessel, the passive one, the one he could lie to and deceive. But to God be the glory. I eventually was able to make him stop molesting me once I got into like the 7th or 8th grade. I started standing up for myself and telling him, no, leave me alone. I'm going to tell Mama. And so, some stuff, he still tried stuff, but it didn't ever work. But I hated him, and I plotted to poison him. See, I was the one in the house that I was obedient. So when I was told to warm up his plate or fix his food or whatever, I would do it. So I was in high school by then, and I figured out exactly how I was going to do it. I was going to warm up his food and put some rat poison in it, some decon. I would figure if it killed mice and rats, it had to kill a rotten person like that. But to show you how ironic God is, I didn't have to carry out my plan. I didn't have to kill him. God stepped in and did a divine intervention. Andrew died my senior year in high school. And as he took his very last breath, he looked at me and said, I'm sorry. And in the same instant, I'm looking at the monitor go down and down. I'm like, this nigga died. That's what I'm thinking as a kid. I'm a kid. So, I've been through hell with this man in my life. And I'm praying to God, God, please let him die. I'm just wishing he would die. Because he made my life literally a living hell. But don't judge me, because I'm just telling you my story. And after he died, I can remember my mom and my sister. We was in the house, and they were, I think my sister was crying about him being dead. And, I would always have, just blurt out stuff because I'm mad. When I'm mad, I would blurt out stuff. I was like, I'm glad he did, He wasn't touching on you and bothering you. But when I said it, my mother was like, well, I hate you to tell me that so-and-so was doing that before then, or he would have been dead way before the time he died. And I was like, well, wow. I had a mother that wouldn't believe me all along. All I had to do was just tell her. So now, after I went through all of this, I'm an adult now. I'm out of high school. I'm enjoying life. And, I really like to drink, smoke a little weed. I date men, have boyfriends. And when I love hard because I never knew what real love was. I never knew how to love. And I eventually met a man. He was light-skinned and had green eyes, but he was hooked on a demon. He was hooked on crack. And I didn't know what it was. People had started selling it. But me, I was curious. So, whoop, there it is. I was hook, line, and sinker. I was hooked on crack cocaine because my man was on it. He smoked it and I had to smoke it as well. But guess what? I had access to it because, you see, my mother was dealing drugs then. She didn't know I was addicted to crack. So she would have me take a box, it was full of drugs, to my boyfriend's house. And in the midst of all of this, I'm taking dope somewhere, what I should have been doing. She didn't know I was hooked on cocaine, so I had access to it. So when I got addicted to crack, I was addicted to crack because, first of all, it was some of the best dope in town. It was that ooh-wee, as they called it back in the day. And I had access to it. So when I got hooked on crack, I had smoked up probably about $20,000 worth of crack, went through a whole bunch of money because money was in the bank and it was in my name. But like I said, don't judge me. I'm just telling y'all my story. It is what it is. So, in the midst of getting hooked on drugs, that was back in the day, that was before I had kids, I learned how to shoplift. I could look at you and tell you what size you were. I could tell you what size clothes your kids were. I could look at Joyful. Joyful were probably about a size 6. That's how good I was. I have a shoplifting list as if it was a grocery list or a shopping list. And I go to the store and make the money that I need. That's how I supported my habit. But I ended up pregnant. And the very first child I got pregnant, when they say they died from fetal demise, that's the medical term they use. But he died because I was on a real bad drug spree, and I probably was getting high for about a week straight. And I didn't eat, didn't drink, I was just going like the Energizing Bunny. And I ended up losing that baby. I was like, well, Lord, you do everything for a reason, because I didn't know who the daddy was. I didn't know if it was my boyfriend or my man on the side. I had an aunt that she's dead and gone, bless her soul, but she always told me, she said, Ginger Kate, always keep a spare. Whatever one man won't do, another one will. And she also told me, never buy a man a pair of shoes because he'll walk away from you. And to this day, that's something I've never done. Well, except for my husband. Once I got a husband, I bought a man a pair of shoes. But I never bought a man a pair of shoes. And I always kept me a spare. Because whatever one man didn't do or wouldn't do, I had another one that would. Hey, don't judge me.
That's right. That's right.
Hallelujah. Well, I ended up, after I lost that baby, I ended up pregnant with my son, with my oldest son, Kevin. And I was going to the doctor this time because I was scared I'd lost the baby. And I didn't know if the drugs had killed it or it just died. So I went and I had a dirty job. The doctor was like, well, we don't know. They didn't know back then, or still don't even know, I guess, what they didn't know back then in the 90s what crack would do to a baby. So I ended up going to rehab. And while I was in, I went to Centralia, to a hospital in St. Mary's. And I asked God just to take that drug addiction away from me and to give me the desire to not want it anymore, not crave it. And God did that thing for me. And I had a healthy son in '94, and he was born drug-free. Yes, but to God, there's one thing that I learned when I was in rehab and in active care, that they said that mainly most women that turned to drugs was abused sexually as a child. And that's something that they still say today. That if you are addicted to drugs, you are abused, molested, or something done sexually to you as a child. So that's not an excuse, but in order to get off of drugs, I had to leave those people, places, and things alone to stay off of drugs and to stay drug-free. And I did just that until I got hooked up with someone that was selling drugs. Now, mind you, after all this time, my mother's in jail now, and she's been sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. But I decided I needed some money, and if I do it for a little while, hit it and quit it, get in and out, then I'll be all right. So I hustled for a little while. And I was doing that thing, and I was selling drugs, able to buy what I wanted and needed, bought food stamps, anything that somebody brought my way, clothes, anything we could use. And my friend started building a house. And he built the house with drug money. And by me handling the dough, selling the drugs, cutting it up and bagging it up, well, it got in my system again. And I got a desire to use again. So I end up back on drugs once again. So now I'm addicted. I go in and out of jail. And one year I think I was in jail over 100 days out of that year. Because my sister had my kids, so I had 3 kids by now. And from shoplifting and getting caught, trying to support a drug addiction, my sister had to watch my 3 kids. And my girls they were bullies, Kanisha Patera. They were in General Johnny Logan, and they were bullies. And I was like, well, my goodness, what's going on? But do you know, when drama is going on at home and you taking your kids through things, when there's disorder in the household, there's no order at all. But don't judge me. I'm trying to tell you my story. But thank God I'm healed, delivered, and set free. And all I know is that my mess is my message, and my test is my testimony. I'm healed, I'm delivered, I'm set free from being hurt, from being angry, and from being full of unforgiveness. I was always mad and bitter. I was always cussing and finding ways to justify by saying them small 3-letter words and thinking it's okay. That's because I was angry and still had a lot of unforgiveness in me. And I was taking it out on my kids. And how do you many know that when the stuff going on within you, when you mad, you full of unforgiveness, you mad because somebody done lied on you, you mad because somebody you love or married to done lied on you and persecuted you. And how many know when you full of unforgiveness, that it'll trickle off to your kids? But I thank God that God healed me, delivered me, and set me free from all of that. So I was just messy. Can y'all say that? Just messy. Messy. And once again, I'm still in my little story of my life. I found out that I'm pregnant again. I'm in jail once again. I called the pastor. I said, Pastor, you ain't got to come buying me out. I said, but all I need you to do is help my sister look after my kids with my sister. Because, you know, she got a full-time job. She got 2 kids of her own at home. And then she got my 3 on top of it. I said, just look after my kids. If I know my sister got to go to work, I was like, you ain't got to come buying me out. I need this little rehab anyway. Well, lo and behold, I find out I'm pregnant while I'm in jail. And how many of you know God can just step in and do what he needs to do? I'm addicted to drugs. I need to be off drugs. So I was saying, well, Lord, I'll sit here and just go to rehab. Because by now, I already gave the county a whole bunch of money. And one of them used to keep giving them money because they end up taking it for fines and this and that. You pay Murfreesboro City all kinds of taxes. They tax you, and you never get your money back. So I was like, well, I'll just sit here. And if push comes to shove, I'll just go to rehab. I've never been to rehab. I was like, well, I'm either wait on the bed at rehab, or I'm just going to sit it out and let them let me out. I sat in jail about 2 to 3 months, probably 2.5 months, because I remember that year I missed the Apple Festival. You know, that's a big thing here. But I needed to be where I was. And so I started coming to this ministry. And I needed Jesus to do something for me in the midst of going to jail that last time. That's been over 5 years ago. But I met Pastor Nolan. I was born here, and that's been over 5 years ago. But thanks, glory to God, and thanks to Pastor Nolan and First Lady Nolan, they had unconditional love for me. They didn't judge me. And I had to get into a place where I would trust God to heal me from being angry, to heal me from being hurt. Proverbs 3, verse 5 through 6 says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not to your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make your path straight. When you are healed, delivered, and set free, you can talk about it. Because my mess is my message. And my tests are my testimony. And regardless of what our past leads us, or what we've been through in our past, it doesn't matter where you come from, what you've been through, how your parents treated you, how your boyfriend or husband treated you. Get over it. How your family treats you, or how your family undone you. And you still mad about it, get over it. Life goes on. And just remember, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. If you're depressed, thought about suicide or attempted suicide, get over it. If you're angry at someone or full of unforgiveness, if someone lied to you, or even if they lied on you, get over it. Life goes on. You have to get in a place to where you trust God, and you have to have the hope that God can and will do it for you. You have to have the faith to believe. I just like to thank you for giving me this opportunity to share my story with you, and how I was healed, delivered, and set free. And I'd like to turn it back over to the hands of Pastor First Lady Nolan. Amen.
Oh, come on, give God a big hand.